SimTheWorld here. We are back with Car Mechanic Simulator 2018. In the shop today, I've got a couple Ford Mustangs. We got the Mach 1, and of course we've got the newest DLC. I think they released a second Ford DLC, and this has the modern Mustang. Of course, two different jobs, two different orders rolled in. We got a lot of work ahead of us. Of course, this one isn't too bad. This is a brake and gearbox job. And if you can't already tell, I think this one's pretty easy to diagnose. Looks like we'll have to replace gearbox and the ABS module and a few of the brakes and calipers and all that good stuff. So that's what we're going to start with today. This is the easy job. I already did a little bit of work on the Mach 1. That is a much bigger job, and we're going to take a look at that shortly. Save that as a surprise, but to be clear, that's going to be an engine job. There was some there was some suspension work with it too. However, on the Mach 1, I did take care of that out of wanting to focus on engine jobs. We're already doing the brakes over on this modern Ford Mustang. No reason to go through and do more than we have to. And this should be a quick job to put all back together. I'm excited. The newer DLCs I've been enjoying, they had a lot more tools available to them. It was a lot easier to get the tuning components in. They already had the rim DLC, so there's a lot of options they could play with. And I think for the most part, they nailed everything. This is, of course, a clean looking car that rolled into the shop. You'll see we've got some lower condition parts, and of course, those are reserved for the Mach 1. As I mentioned, we've already taken a few things off of there just to get a little bit ahead of the curve. We'll get the front all put back together, and that should get us to a place where we can jump under the hood real quick, replace that module, and we'll be on our way. Or at least the customer will be. As you know, we've ran out of story orders. Nothing too interesting. We have to be a little creative on our own. That's why I thought this would be a great opportunity. You know, orders are always rolling in the shop. They're randomized orders, and customers bring them in with all sorts of different issues. And that's cool for us because that does include DLC cars. In fact, when I come out here, we'll check out what's waiting for us, what we have the options to take. So we'll lower this, and while that lowers, come over, and what I'll do is I'll actually look through these orders, see what I want, see what's interesting. All of the cars right now are their generic ones. There's no DLC. They'll have a little DLC marker in the top left. If you have mods installed, of course, they'll denote a modded vehicle. So far, I've been just looking for the DLCs, seeing if there's like engine jobs or little interesting things that will keep us busy. Of course, I wanted to take a look at this engine. Hopefully we'll get a Mustang back in here and we can dive a little deeper. Let me jump over here real quick. This is the dual overhead cam Coyote V8. So it's a big engine. It's got 437 horsepower. We're almost done here. We replaced the gearbox. We did all the brakes. I would love to get under the hood and dive into this engine a little bit, but not for this job. It's amazing. All the brakes were shot, but everything else is in fantastic shape. This customer obviously took care of their car. Oh, I need to buy a module. It's not too bad. I love how everything's compartmentalized with these other tabs, but for the engine and suspension, and maybe this is something we can see added. I know the demo didn't show a lot for Car Mechanic Simulator 2021, but even pulling the electrics out and having those on their own separate window, that was a huge help in reducing some of the clutter. There's thousands of parts in this game. Obviously, you don't just want to scroll through all of them. Let's get this car out and back on the road. $5,000 in our pockets, that's a good amount. Also check through here, there's nothing of, ooh, see here's your DLC marker. Of course, we recently did a pickup, so I'm not going to do anything here, especially all the suspension jobs are basically the same in this game. There's nothing too various there. That's actually why if we jump back here, you'll see I had to replace the leaf spring assembly, the coil back here, and the knuckle and a few other parts, but the rest of it I left the same. I didn't replace anything on the other side. But you'll see I have the gearbox off. And if we jump up here, you can see there's a lot. The coil pack needs to be replaced, the fan, distributor cap, the wires kind of look bad. If we go into the status of the car, we have to replace the timing components. So that's the water pump, timing chain, water pump pulley, and cam gear. And the engine problems. There is a laundry list. This gives me flashbacks to our old, story orders. And of course, one of the pistons has to get replaced. So I think this is a good opportunity to pull the engine out. There's a few things that we don't know what's missing. Lack of engine power. I'm sure there's some spark plugs we need to replace, or at least the distributor cap. I'm going to get the engine crane, and we're going to do just that. Now, we're going to try to salvage everything we can off this engine and maybe repair some stuff. Go ahead and throw that on. It actually gave us a percentage of what was wrong, so it does give us an idea that there is a lot to replace. I'm going to probably strip this down and see if we can't get a better idea of what needs to go. Everything on this car, though, is pretty rusty, so it's difficult to tell what exactly needs replaced and what doesn't. I think, though, unlike the story orders, we'll be able to just buy the things we need to replace, because it doesn't matter. We don't have to repair to 100%. Let me jump back here real quick. So our minimum parts condition needs to be 38%, which all of the parts that don't need replaced, that's the minimum condition. So that means if I'm throwing in a piston here, maybe this piston is bad and needs replaced, but I pull all of these out to check. Even if I put an old one back in here, that will still count as long as it's over that minimum. So that is kind of nice. We don't have to worry too much about that sort of stuff. I do want to tear this engine apart just to get an idea of what we're working with. And to get to the timing, everything does have to come off anyhow. Let's go ahead and get this going. I might time-lapse this part and we'll be back when this is all disassembled. We are back. We're getting back to repairing the whole engine, and as you can see, we're doing a little bit more than I actually had to. I went to the repair bench. You can see everything's brand new. Everything's 100% that we've put on so far. gotta enjoy the repair bench without the little mini game before that's gone when we switch over to Car Mechanic Simulator 2021. It's going to come quicker than you guys can realize. That's going to be here right around the corner, and we'll be doing a bunch of videos on that as it comes. Of course, we've already been doing a lot of videos on it already, so hopefully you guys have been enjoying that. Be sure to stay tuned because I got more planned. A few more things I want to check out. People keep reminding me of things that are in the game that I haven't addressed specifically, and of course, that's the whole point of doing these videos. So, with that said, I'm going to keep continuing to replace everything here. I got all new push rods. We have new rocker arms. This is, of course, very tedious. We're replacing, obviously, a lot more than the customer asked for. But I think, first off, it was very cheap to repair. And, of course, I really wanted to do some work with this engine. Obviously, going through and rebuilding an engine is kind of the theme of our orders going forward. Whether or not we do it here, we might go a little overboard, but that just eats into our own costs, and we have $1 million in the bank account. And of course, if you've checked out our friend Carleezy Games video, if I ever run out of money, I'm going to just go do some work in his shop, because he obviously knows where to find that extra cash. He's got them customers are paying through the nose. But I'm sure he's going to be doing all the Car Mechanic Simulator 2021 videos too, so get subscribed to his channel too so you don't miss out on that fun stuff too. I'm going to come back when this is all wrapped up, and we're going to drop that engine in, get everything put back together, get some oil in here, and we'll wrap up this episode. Coming through, we're going to put the brand new engine, and I think everything should be repaired to 100% here. So this engine is perfect. Of course, if you're doing these story orders, maybe some nights you are a little bored and just want to go through and go build some engines, set them aside. I hope in the new game there's an option of building some crate engines, or maybe even building the engines and selling them as a whole to a store. Because that would be really nice, because sometimes for some of these orders, when you just need to replace an engine, or if you're doing one of the full restoration series, kind of like I do on Fridays every once in a while, it's easy just to pull out a whole engine rather than starting from scratch. Of course, building an engine, that's half of a car. That's quite a bit of work. You should be able to get some value out of that and sell it. Of course, you can sell it here in the warehouse. You can sell the whole grouping of parts. But it would be nice if there is a store where you could do that sort of interaction, not just selling it out of inventory. But of course, obviously, being able to buy it would be a lot better too. Because sometimes, maybe you pay $10,000 for it. Maybe you pay well over what it would cost to build. But even doing that would be a huge help. And ooh, I'm missing a part still. Interesting. Let me actually check the fuel pump while I'm down here. That's a pretty common one. That was 27%. I think that was too low. Let's go over and see if we can't repair it. There we go. 100%. That is so nice. Saves us some cash. Of course, that's the best way to play this game. Realistic as you can, repair what you can. I hope we do see some better mini games when it does come out on Car Mechanic Simulator 2021. It'd be nice to be able to actually sand down some of these parts, maybe clean them up a bit. I think we're good with this order. I don't think there's anything left to do. Wow, this is a big job. Almost $14,000. We'll take that for sure. I think we still made money with that job too. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys have ideas for future episodes, please let me know down in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks for watching as I simulate my life one game at a time. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any of the future action. You can follow on Twitter for updates to future games being played, as well as follow on Twitch, as I'll occasionally stream live. Thanks, and I'll see you next time at SimTheWorld.